They told me about New York. They painted pictures with words, each one grander than the last. Yet, none of them prepared me. Because New York isn't a story you can borrow, it's a story you have to live. The city breathes in fragments, moments of brilliance, chaos, and hope. There's a rhythm here, an unspoken pulse. It drags you in, daring you to keep up, leaving you breathless. New York's magic is in its people, a patchwork of dreams and grit, stories colliding on every corner. You can feel it, an unyielding hunger for more. I get it now. New York isn't perfect, but it's real. It's raw. A mirror for your dreams and your flaws. I came to experience it, and I leave with a piece of it in me. Not just a place I visited, but a chapter I lived. Because some cities you don't just see, you feel. And New York, you'll feel it forever. Day 1 was a super early flight into LaGuardia. We arrived at around 10 a.m., so we had almost an entire day to explore the city. Driving into the city was surreal, and we couldn't believe we were there. After checking into our hotel, our first stop was Liberty Bagels for some breakfast. The Reuben was a 10 out of 10. How is it? After filling up for the day, we took the subway to southern Manhattan to check out the Wall Street area and to ride the Staten Island ferry. We braved the New York subway for the first time. Pretty much how they describe it in movies. Nothing spectacular, but yeah, I guess it's convenient.
The tubes in London helped, so doing that first was really helpful because we already knew kind of how trains worked. If that was my first time ever on a train ever, probably wouldn't be best.
Yeah. Staten Island Ferry is completely free and gives you amazing views of the city landscape and the Statue of Liberty. This was close to one of my favorite parts of the trip and was well worth the trek down. It was a completely different vibe seeing the city from this point of view versus standing within it. So we are here for 6 days, like Monday through Sunday, and I've never been. Caitlin here has been one time when she was like really little, so we really have everything we're saying is like a fresh start for us. So we are trying to hit everything. I mean, like pretty much everything that you would want to see here. So we are go for the next 6 days. We just landed a few hours ago and we have hit Wall Street. We are on the Staten Island ferry just to get some awesome views of the city. Got bagels, yeah, Liberty Bagels. That was like, my sandwich was like a 9 out of 10. Mine was pretty good. So yeah, Liberty Bagels. If you guys are in New York, that place is good. So yeah, see you next time. Coming back up, we had to make a stop and pay our respects at the World Trade Center. I was amazed at how beautiful they made this area, and I'm so happy that we have such an astonishing monument to remember the victims of 9/11. It was then time for us to head back up to our hotel and refresh before our dinner reservations. Gallagher's Steakhouse. Our first night here, and we were already having the best dinner of the trip. I have never had a prime rib this good. This was a 12 out of 10 experience. Good morning. It is day 2, Tuesday. It's actually our first full day here, even though yesterday felt like a full day. Today is like mainly our like Central Park day, seeing everything in Central Park, going to the Met, things like that. So super exciting, and hope to bring you guys along. And our hotel is pretty nice. We are staying at the Thompson by Central Park, New York. I think that's what it's called. It had some mixed reviews, but they said if you stay here, to stay in the upper stories because they're just nicer rooms and quieter from all like the city noise and stuff like that. So we decided to spend a little extra to stay up here, and it was well worth it, and it is pretty nice, so nothing to complain about there. If New Yorkers didn't have Central Park, I don't know how they'd survive here. It gives nearly a complete separation from the city and stretches across for miles. We only really saw the bottom half of the whole park. It's not a trip to New York without a stop to La Ray, but honestly, the macaroons I had in Paris were way more fresh. The ones I got here were quite disappointing. After our peaceful morning, it was time for our reservations at the Met. I felt like I was right back in Paris, walking through the halls of this museum. After viewing all the amazing art in the Met, it was time for some lunch in Central Park. Can we just give it up for this guy for creating an entire vibe around Bethesda Terrace? Typically, this fountain has water flowing throughout, but for some reason it did not during this time, unfortunately. After grabbing a custom poem in the park, my wife and I headed back to the hotel to freshen up before another fun dinner. If you want old New York vibes, Monkey Bar is the place to go, but make reservations weeks in advance. We could only get a 9:45 reservation, and we booked, I believe, 2 weeks in advance. This place was very close to being up there with Gallagher's. This was our second favorite dinner of the trip, but I'd say it wins the best vibes overall. Good morning. We are pretty wiped, but we just still got 5 days to go, got lots to do. Today is going to be a pretty fun day. It is Wednesday. We're going to see Radio City Music Hall, Rockefeller Center. We're going to go to the top of the rock. Going to do a little shopping, going to go to the Bryant Park Winter Village, which should be exciting. I'm actually going to go visit some coworkers because I live remotely, I live in Florida, but I work remotely for a company in New York, so going to see them, which should be fun. And then we're also going to see the Grand Central Terminal. So very busy day, very exciting. Let's go. After passing up a Radio City Music Hall, it was time to head over to Rockefeller Center. The only unfortunate part of going in November is not getting to see the Christmas tree completed. It was time to go to the top of the rock, a building 70 stories tall that gives you breathtaking views of the city.
More across the country, rising into the skies of Manhattan, it becomes a beacon of hope Christmas rolls around, the construction workers buy a 20-foot Christmas tree.
Welcome to the top of the rock. 3 levels of inspiring views and exciting experiences await you.
Oh my goodness.
This may have been my favorite part of the trip. You could always go on top of the Empire State Building, but the top of the rock gives you a complete view of the Empire State Building and a great view all around. One pro of going in November is the winter villages are not busy. We didn't do too much shopping there, but we're glad we got to see them. This one was the Bryant Park Winter Village. It was definitely getting us in the Christmas spirit. Joy in winter time. After exploring the Winter Village, it was time for our last sightseeing spot of the day, Grand Central Station, one of the busiest transit hubs in the world. Good morning. It is Thursday. We've got lots to do today. We're going to Ralph's Coffee. We're going to see the Flatiron Building. We're going to go to just some shopping today, see Levain Bakery, possibly going to see the Union Square Holiday Market, and then we have a Broadway show tonight. Should be lots of fun. Let's go. Ralph's Coffee definitely lived up to its hype. It's the best coffee I had the entire trip. Unfortunately, with the rain and some construction going on the Flatiron Building, we were not able to get a good view of it, but it was still cool getting to see it. After some shopping, we headed over to the world-famous Levain Bakery. Caitlin didn't love it as much, but I'd give it a solid 9 out of 10. Just look how beautiful this cookie looks. We then headed over to the New York Public Library because we were told they had the first ever Winnie the Pooh. This bear was stuffed in the 1920s and was given to Christopher Robin for his birthday in 1921. Both Caitlin and I loved Winnie the Pooh growing up, so it was crazy to see the first ever inspiration. It was time for some more shopping. We headed to the Museum of Modern Art because they had a gift shop with some really cool stuff. The Apple flagship store was actually really cool to see at night, and the rain helped to make for some really cool shots.
Yes. VIP night tour.
Before our Broadway show, we headed to Times Square to have dinner at the very popular Los Tacos No. 1. I don't think I've ever eaten somewhere more busy and packed. It was shoulder to shoulder in there, but man, once we got those tacos, we knew it was worth it. Would definitely recommend here if you're in Times Square. The tacos were a solid 9 out of 10. And then it was time for our Broadway show, The Great Gatsby. I didn't record any of it, but it was honestly a really great show. Caitlin is a huge Great Gatsby fan, so it was really fun taking her. After a long rainy day, we walked back to our hotel and called it a night. Good morning, everyone. It is another cold and rainy day. Hopefully not as rainy as yesterday, but today I think is supposed to be like the coldest day in like the 30s. So we're all layered up. We're going to Brooklyn. It's going to be a fun day. Going to see the Brooklyn Bridge and things like that. And then we are going to go to Soho, do some shopping, and not sure what else. We'll see on the itinerary. So see you guys there. This was our longest subway ride, but it honestly wasn't too bad. I'd say it took maybe 20-ish minutes to get down to Brooklyn. I'm sure you've seen this shot before. The Manhattan Bridge, tucked between two brick buildings, made for an iconic photo shoot. You can find this in the Dumbo area of Brooklyn. Well, that was fun. Now, let's go get some coffee. Arabica was not really my cup of tea, or coffee, I should say, but it made for some amazing views of the Brooklyn Bridge right outside. The coffee was just a bit bland for my taste, but it wasn't terrible. As you can tell, it was dark and gloomy all day. This area was my favorite part of Brooklyn. Brooklyn Bridge Park has some of the most incredible views you can get of the Manhattan cityscape, and we were the only ones there. This was our last stop in Brooklyn after heading back up to Manhattan. The Old Friends photo booth, a mandatory stop for Caitlin, so we could capture some of the coolest photo booth pictures. Cat's Deli. I was probably most excited for this lunch, as famously known for being filmed in the movie When Harry Met Sally. A common theme in New York I've noticed is places get crowded, making eating kind of difficult, but this pastrami sandwich was well worth it. After an amazing lunch, we did some shopping around Soho and then explored the West Village until our dinner reservation. And while walking around, we stumbled upon the apartment from friends where they shoot the outside of the building. We had some time to kill before dinner, so we stopped in this little local pub called Grove Street Social so we can grab a drink. For dinner that night, we chose a place called Palma, a little local Italian restaurant tucked away in the West Village. It wasn't our favorite dinner, but it definitely wasn't bad. I'd probably rate it a 7 out of 10. Keelan got some gnocchi, and I got the truffle fettuccine alfredo. Saturday, our last full day. We still had lots planned to do. We had afternoon tea planned at the plaza for later that day, so before then we decided to grab some coffee and take another walk through Central Park. I cannot wrap my head around this being a man-made park, because you'd never be able to tell. And honestly, I'm so glad they did. It's such a peaceful separation from the city. Let's head to the plaza. There is no hotel in New York more iconic than the Plaza. They've been serving the people of New York since 1907. It is the symbol of luxury hospitality. This place has hosted many world leaders and major celebrities. By God's blessing, we'd actually stay here one day, but they do have a restaurant and afternoon tea for anyone, not just hotel guests. This was a bucket list item for Caitlin, so we had to make a reservation, and no better time to go than during Christmas time to see all the decorations. I've had afternoon tea once before in London, and I feel like I liked the food there a little better, but the food here was still nothing to complain about. It was still very good. I'd probably rate it an 8.5 out of 10. After that experience, we decided to head southwest to Little Island to catch our final sunset. After the sun went down, we were close to Chelsea Market, so we decided to check it out. We were actually fairly surprised by this place and almost didn't go. If you're looking for a great shopping spot, this is the place to be. After doing some shopping, it was time for our grand finale dinner at Oscar Wilde. They're pretty known for having insane Christmas decor, so we were shocked to see that they weren't up yet. I guess they wait until December. I'd say this was my third favorite dinner here. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. After a really late dinner, it was time to head back to the hotel for our final sleep of the trip. Day 7, our final day here. We had an evening flight, so we still had nearly all day today. The goal for today was just to be a chill day, so let's go. First mission of today, grab some breakfast. We've done a lot this trip. Let's just sit back and enjoy the city. We had to make one last stop to Ralph's Coffee. I expected to leave this trip feeling drained, overstimulated, and ready to go home. But honestly, I could have stayed another week. I have never been more pleasantly surprised by a city than this one. I think the moral of the story is, take everything you see on social media with a grain of salt, and go experience things for yourself with your own eyes. I'd love to come back again someday. Until next time, New York.